Hello, and welcome to our lesson on subtracting fractions. Today, we will delve into some key concepts that are essential for mastering fractions and improving your arithmetic skills. In this lesson, our goal is to understand how to perform subtraction for fractions. Here's how we will break it down. We will begin by refreshing our understanding of fractions and how they work. Next, we will introduce the steps involved in subtracting two fractions. We will then run through several examples to solidify your understanding and give you practice applying this new knowledge. So far, you've become familiar with fractions and know how to perform subtraction for positive and negative integers. This background knowledge is crucial for diving into fraction subtraction, as the principles of numerical operations will be applied to fractions as well. With this foundation, we can now explore how to subtract fractions effectively. This technique is essential for solving problems that involve quantities represented by fractions, such as comparing proportions or calculating differences in measurements. For example, imagine you have 3/4 of a cake and you eat 1/3 of the whole cake. By understanding how to subtract fractions, you'll be able to determine how much of the cake remains. Let's get started. Let's delve into the main body of the lesson and introduce the new technique for subtracting fractions. We'll start by subtracting fractions with the same denominators. When the denominators are the same, subtracting fractions is straightforward. Think of the denominator as dividing a whole into equal parts. If both fractions have the same denominator, they are divided into the same number of parts. For example, if we want to subtract 3/8 from 7/8, imagine a pie divided into 8 equal slices. 7/8 is 7 slices of that pie. 3/8 is 3 slices of that pie. Since the denominators are the same, we only subtract the numerators. 7 minus 3 equals 4, and since the denominator remains the same, we place this 4/8. We can simplify 4/8 by dividing both numbers by 4. This gives a final answer of 1/2. When the denominators are different, the process involves a slightly more complex method. For example, let's try 3/4 minus 2/5. First, we need to find the lowest common multiple of the denominators. The lowest common multiple of 5 and 4 is 20, and therefore we can use 20 as our common denominator. To convert 3/4 to have 20 as the denominator, we multiply the numerator and denominator by 5. This gives us 15/20. For 2/5, we need to multiply the numerator and denominator by 4, which gives us 8/20. Now we can subtract the numerators as normal. 15 minus 8 equals 7, and therefore 3/4 minus 2/5 equals 7/20. Now let's look at subtracting mixed numbers. For example, 2.5 minus 1 and 3/4. Step 1. Convert mixed numbers to improper fractions. We multiply the whole number by the denominator and then add the numerator. This gives us the numerator for our improper fraction. 2.5 becomes 5/2. 1 3/4 becomes 7/4. Now we can continue with the method we have already used by making the denominators the same. The lowest common multiple of 2 and 4 is 4, and therefore we just need to multiply 5/2 by 2/2. This gives us the sum of 10/4 minus 7/4. Step 3. Subtract the numerators and keep the common denominator the same. 10 minus 7 equals 3, and therefore 2.5 minus 1 and 3/4 equals 3/4. Now let's look at how we handle negative results in subtraction. If the numerator of the first fraction is smaller than the numerator of the second, the result will be negative. For example, let's look at 2/5 minus 2 and 3/4. First, we need to convert the mixed number to an improper fraction. This creates the new sum of 2/5 minus 11/4. Now we can find the common denominator of 5 and 4, which is 20. We multiply 2/5 by 4/4 to get 8/20. Then we multiply 11/4 by 5/5 to get 55/20. Now we subtract the numerators. 8 minus 55 equals minus 47. Minus 47/55 is an improper fraction, so we can convert this to a mixed number. This gives a final answer of minus 2 and 7/20. Let's go through the basic rules for subtracting negative and positive fractions. If you subtract a negative fraction, this results in a double negative and therefore we add. If you subtract a positive fraction from a negative fraction, you once again add and make the resulting fraction negative. By understanding these principles and practicing them, you'll become proficient in subtracting fractions of all kinds. Let's work through some exercises to solidify this knowledge. We'll start with an example where the fractions have the same denominator. Let's consider the problem. 5 over 8 minus 3 over 8. Since the denominators are the same, we can directly subtract the numerators. 5 minus 3 equals 2. We can use this 2 as the numerator, which gives us an answer of 2 over 8. We can simplify this fraction by dividing the numerator and denominator by 2 to get 1/4. Now let's tackle a more common scenario where the denominators are different. 3 over 4 minus 1 over 6. First, we need to find a common denominator. The lowest common multiple of 4 and 6 is 12. We convert each fraction so 12 is the denominator. 3 over 4 multiplied by 3 over 3 gives us 9 over 12. 1 over 6 multiplied by 2 over 2 equals 2 over 12. Now, we subtract the fractions with the same denominator. This gives us the final answer of 7 over 12. Let's subtract mixed numbers. 2 and 1/3 minus 1 and 2/5. First, convert the mixed numbers to improper fractions by multiplying the whole number by the denominator and then adding the numerator. This gives us 7 over 3 minus 7 over 5. Next, find the common denominator. The lowest common multiple of 3 and 5 is 15. We can convert these fractions to get 35 over 15 minus 21 over 15. Now subtract the fractions. 35 minus 21 equals 14, which gives an answer of 14 over 15. These examples demonstrate how to tackle subtraction of fractions in various scenarios. With practice, these steps will become second nature, allowing you to confidently approach any fraction subtraction problem you encounter in your GCSE exams. In today's lesson, we explored the key techniques required to subtract fractions, a fundamental skill in arithmetic. We started with the simplest case, subtracting fractions with the same denominators. By subtracting the numerators while keeping the denominator constant, we showed how straightforward this process can be. We then moved on to subtracting fractions with different denominators, emphasizing the importance of finding the lowest common multiple to create equivalent fractions with a common denominator before performing the subtraction. Next, we tackled the subtraction of mixed fractions, converting them to improper fractions and ensuring the denominators matched before subtracting the numerators. We also discussed how to handle cases that result in negative fractions, demonstrating how the subtraction process can yield negative results and how to interpret them. Finally, we reviewed the rules for subtracting negative and positive fractions, highlighting the arithmetic principles behind these operations. By understanding and practicing these techniques, you've gained essential tools for solving a variety of problems involving fractions. This knowledge not only supports your arithmetic skills, but also lays the foundation for more advanced mathematical concepts. Watch the rest of the GCSE Maths course at Sophos Education.